Right, we're live now. How you doing, Danny?
No,
All right, chap?
all good, mate. All good. How's it going?
Good, good. So, how you been keeping during this lockdown situation? What's your thoughts on it, mate?
I fucking love it, mate. I think it's amazing. I think it's brilliant. I think that's opened the doors for me to do a lot of other stuff, to be completely honest with you. I've been
Yeah.
busy as hell. I've had a little break. Obviously, there's no boxing on, there's no work on, but I mean, um, I'm now doing online platform, so it works for
Yeah.
me big time. I was sitting indoors the other day, lying on the sofa, and I just done three clients, 3,400 quid in about 2 hours. Can't complain, mate. Can't complain. I'm training
Yeah.
every day, three times a day. So, well, three times yesterday, twice the day before. So I'm on it. Yeah, all good.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts about Corona and everything, mate? Just
I think
quickly
it's
before. Yeah.
bollocks. Absolute fucking dog shit. No joke. I think it's absolute crap. I mean, I think they've bubbled up the numbers a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Putting
Yeah.
Corona on death certificates when they died of a fucking chopped off leg or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all a big bullshit. I think.
What do you think? I think exactly the same. Obviously, I'd seen you put a little bit about it on your Facebook, so I thought I'd ask you. But obviously, it just makes you wonder why they're doing it, doesn't it? You know what I mean, mate?
Well, it's about dividing and controlling people. That's that simple, because there's a new agenda with the hierarchy or whatever. It's nothing to do with the government. The government are thick as fuck. They're just puppets. They're puppets in the game. That's that simple. Have a look at Bill Gates and have a look at all that stuff and all the conspiracy. They say conspiracy and all this crap. It's not conspiracy. That's been planned for years. Bill Gates was talking about it years and years ago. So, you know, Corona, there was a film about Corona years ago.
Do you know what I find funny, mates? Do you know what I find funny when I always try and say conspiracy theorists, right? If I was getting locked up with a bunch of kids for selling coke, not that I'm saying I'm into that, but if I was, right, and they said, the judge said conspiracy to supply drugs, I couldn't use as my defence, oh, this judge is a conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean, mate? You're going away for selling drugs. And the fact is this what's going on is a conspiracy fact, not a conspiracy theory. But anyways, I just wanted to ask you about your boxing career, Danny. Obviously, you went pro at age 25, and what was your amateur career like before that, or did you just do unlicensed, or what did you do before you went?
I'm unlicensed. Literally, I was an alcoholic and a druggie when I was younger, and literally what happened was I got kicked out of my house at 15 years old. My dad left when I was younger, and I had a lot of shit. So and my mum used to drink a lot. So monkey see, monkey do. I started drinking. I turned into an alcoholic at 14 years old. As mates do, we all smoke weed and stuff like that, but I was taking a lot of other stuff as well. I was taking Billy and all sorts of shit, pills and whatever. But that was just like one of the mills, just what you did when you were a kid. But I was a bit smarter than that at the same time. Do you know what I mean? My dad's quite an intellect. He's quite a smart guy. He went to a private school, all that sort of stuff. Not to say I'm that intellectual. I'm not necessarily Mensa, but I think I've got a bit of a brain in my head. I just realised there was something more out there. But when Mum kicked me out, Mum always blames herself now for what I was when I was younger. But you know, you can't blame someone from the past, because you're blaming an innocent person, because my mum's an amazing person now. So I literally forgave her years and years ago. But from there, I went and sat on a trolley in a front garden opposite Sam Sexton. You know Sam Sexton, British heavyweight champion.
Oh, who fought? Did he fight Matt Skelton? Him? Was it Martin Rogan? He beat Martin Rogan, didn't he? For the
twice, yeah. But as the story goes, I've done kickboxing, Thai boxing, karate, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo when I was younger. Not on a big level, but that's what I did. I was into martial arts, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Lee, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was shit sort of kickboxing. I was a horrible little bastard. I had fighting in the streets and stuff. I just jump and kick people in the heads and stuff like that. Not proud, but that's the sort of thing, you know. That's come from a bit of a rough sort of background. That's what you do. Do you know what I mean? But I was how it goes was I was kicked out of my house at 15. Mum moved my older and younger brother into a property with a new partner. He didn't like me, so he said I couldn't live with him. I was sitting on a trolley in a derelict house garden opposite Sam Sexton's house, and his mum came in. He was only 12 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And his mum came out, and she came over and said, Dan, she said, what's up? I was like, Mum's kicked me out of the house, crying my eyes out. Mum's kicked me out of the house. It's like, you can live with us. Just like that.
No way.
An angel appeared. An angel appeared. And she's just like, you're going to live with us. So I moved in with them. If it weren't for Sam Sexton's mum, I would never have started boxing. Never. You know?
So
and I ended up living in there.
At this point, was Sam Sexton already boxing, was he?
No, he's a little boy. Him and his brother Sexton, they weren't doing any sport. Sam was well overweight. Ben, no, neither of them were doing any sports whatsoever. That was just me.
So then, how did you get into boxing from there, mate?
Because of me.
Mm-hmm. Just living with him.
His mum said to me, Dan, what do you want to do? And I said, for some unbeknown reason, I said, I want to box. And on the Monday after that, I started boxing. And him and his brother came with me. Sam and Ben Sexton started boxing on the same day. So me and Sam Sexton started boxing on exactly the same day because I'd been an alcoholic and moved in his house because my mum asked me to.
Yeah. That's unbelievable, that means. So two like top level contenders start on the same day. So then what was your amateur record, mate, before you went pro?
I had 13 fights. I only had a few fights. I had 13 fights because I was on and off. I sort of went in the army and stuff like that, and I did quite a few other things, extracurricular stuff and that sort of stuff.
All right.
I had 13 fights. I had 7 wins and 6 losses. I think I won them all, but I fought some high class fighters. I fought someone called Mark Redhead. He had 100 and something fights. So I think I'd had 5 fights. So, and I think I beat him as well. So, you know. I was a pretty good fighter, but I just didn't really have my heart in it, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. Until Graham Everett said to me, "Look, I've a knuckle down and do something, or fuck off," you know, and that's how it was.
So what made you then decide to go pro?
Well, I'd just come out of the army, and from the army, I had my last few fights, and I was knocking everyone out. So I was a bit flashy on knocking people out in the first and second round and stuff. I had 2 fights in one night at one point and knocked both of them out in the first round. So everyone was looking at me like, this kid needs to turn fucking pro. I said, because I used to follow Prince Nassim. I mean, me and Sam Sexton, we went all the way to Sheffield when I was about 16 years old, and he was only about 13 or 14. And we travelled to Sheffield. We never made it to the gym though. I always wanted to be in the Ingalls gym because my first experience with boxing was watching a Naz video, and I busted it. I watched it that much. So that's my dream. He was my idol and all that sort of stuff. And I ended up going up there with Sam. We never made it to the gym because we didn't have enough money. We got off the bus, got off the coach, and literally went to get back on it after getting a drink, and I was gone. So I had to pay the excess amount of money we had just to get to Sheffield. Never made it to the Winker Bank gym.
Fucking hell. So then, when you went pro, you had like you were 9 fights unbeaten. Then was it Tony Oakey in your 10th fight, who you fought for the English title?
Nah, I fought Nathan Cleverley in my 10th fight for the British title.
Yeah, and that was your first loss, wasn't it? So. Really, considering your amateur career, you were kind of thrown in the deep end a little bit early there, weren't you?
The thing is, funnily enough, my trainers ended up being the Ingalls after being here. I had a couple of fights, and then I moved to Sheffield. And that was like divine intervention. God put me there, I'm telling you. That's where I wanted to be. That's what I aimed for, and that's where I ended up. But with my fights, they do chuck you in the deep end. I literally had a couple of easy fights in Norwich, or 3 fights or whatever. And then as soon as I went to Sheffield, I was living in the shithole house down the road in the post office. And they said, right, I got there on the Sunday. On the Monday, they said, right, train this week. We'll see how you get on. Got to the Wednesday, they said, do you want to fight on the Friday against an unbeaten kid? I was like, yep, straight away.
And that kid was Nathan Cleverley?
Nah, not the first fight.
Uh-huh.
The first fight I had up there was, I think that was my 5th fight or something, 4th or 5th fight, and I
Uh-huh.
fought someone called Matthew Hoff from Birmingham, and I
Yeah.
knocked him out in a few rounds. He was 5 unbeaten, I was 3 unbeaten.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So how did the Nathan Cleverly fight come about?
Well, obviously, I started being a bit of a name for myself with all the people I was fighting. I fought a couple of people, knocked them out. Knocked Steve Sparks out for the English title. I think I went and fought Joey Vegas, who was Commonwealth bronze medalist or something.
Uh-huh.
I fought a few names, and that just put me up in the rankings. And that's what you got to do if you're going to fight. You can't have all these easy pussy fights and then expect to get big
No.
fights. You're not going to. And I didn't mind getting chucked in the deep end because I didn't have time on my side. I was 25 years old at the time, so I
Yeah.
needed to get a move on.
Mm-hmm. Well, then after the Cleverly fight, what did you make of that? By the way, what did you like? What did you think you needed to work on going forward after that one?
Listen, that guy was top quality. He was top quality.
Right?
You know, he won a world title, so you can tell where he was. But I wasn't ready for that fight. I'd spray me out. I sparred George Groves and spray me ankle in the gym. So that didn't go too well. I literally sprained it against Kelbrook. Then I sparred George Groves. His trainer Adam Booth was like, "Yeah, they all say they sprain their ankles," and Don was like, "Nah, he hasn't. He seriously has sprained his ankle." He's like, "Yeah." And he went, "Right, sparring over." I went, "Fuck that! I should take my fucking ankle up now." So take my ankle up, and I've done another 6 rounds and smashed the fucker. Oh, fuck that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Nathan Cleverly, what an amazing talent. You know, he's just too quick, too fast, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that fight.
Yeah. Well, one thing about Cleverly that I always respected about him was his fitness.
He's so fit. He's so fit.
Yeah.
So
He's incredibly fit, man.
Yeah, he went running on the morning of the fight.
No way.
Yeah, seriously, mate. Seriously, he went down like 3 to 5 miles on the fight morning. So you can tell how fit the guy is. That was just like a warm up or warm down or whatever. However you want to look at it.
So then, after like the Cleverly loss, you went on and you won a couple of fights, and then you got a chance at the European title in France. Yeah. Obviously, you must have been a really big underdog for that fight, and it's very hard to win on the road. So tell us a little bit about that.
Basically, right, I'll tell you the absolute unequivocal truth. I was taking drugs at Christmas. I was drinking. I was eating loads of shit, and I was ill. I swear I had swine flu. And I thought, you know what? It's all over. I was fucking dealing with it. And I got a phone call of John Ingle, and he said, "Danny, we got your fight." I was like, "Right." He said, "You're fighting in France against French champion. He's 2-time French champion, Thierry Carl. 28 fights, 18 knockouts." He said, "You got to get fit in 3 weeks." I said, "I was just listening to everything he was saying. I was thinking, right, I'm getting ready for this." I said, "No." I said, "I'm not fighting John." I said, "I've been eating loads of shit. I've been fucking drinking loads, and I feel ill." He was like, "Danny, shut up." He said, "If you don't take this fucking opportunity, you'll never get this opportunity again in your life." I sat there on bated breath, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. So what I did was, I'm not like anyone else who trains. I'm a little bit drastic. So I got my friend in. He was 18 stone. I was 13 stone. I said, "Right, I want you to hit me to the head, and I'm going to hit you to the body." All right. So I knew I'd knock him out. And bless his heart, we were doing 16 rounds a day sparring because I had 3 weeks to go, and I only literally had a week and a half sparring. So I just thought I'm going to have to get it out. 16 rounds every day. That's the reason I won that fight. If I wouldn't have done 16 rounds a day, I wouldn't have won that fight. But I found God in that same period of time as well. So I became Christian in that time as well, which is really strange. It's almost like divine intervention. But if you believe in something enough, and you can manipulate reality from the subconscious, you can do anything you want in this life. And I mean anything. Anything's possible if you believe in it. All you have to do is believe, conceive, and you will achieve. That is that simple. And have massive action intent and great work ethic.
Yeah. So awesome, mate. So what was it like landing in France, and what was the whole fight like, and the fight week and everything like that, mate?
I was calm and relaxed. I was composed, and I knew I was going to win. I knew I was going to win. When I went over there, I swear my life, I'd been sweating every night from Christmas. And I swear I had some swine flu or something. I swear I did. That's the only way I got my weight off. But what happened was, he was a French guy who couldn't speak English. So I just played up to it. When I got to the press conference, when we first got there, a couple of days before the fight, we got there before he did, and there was all the cameras and stuff there, and there was a few other French guys who were fighting, French girls. And I sat there and he weren't there yet. And I thought, right, fuck this. I'm going to play this proper. I'll put my feet up and pretend I was asleep. I'll put my feet on the desk, laid back in my chair, just laid there like this. And I was like, fuck this, right? And this girl, this French girl went, hey, Danny, tapped me. I just turned around and I winked at her and closed my eyes. I knew he'd just come in the room. I just saw it call me on and closed my eyes. I opened my eyes a little bit and he's looking at me and looking around like, what the fuck is this geezer doing? Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, I'm going to play him, man. I'm going to play him. And you could tell I had his back up a little bit then. But the weigh-in, we had our tops off, waiting to get weighed. And I was manhandling him, man. I manhandled him and feeling his side, talking to my trainer because he couldn't understand English, didn't know what the hell they were saying. So I was just feeling his side, feeling around his neck. And he did. There was no retort. He had no comeback. He didn't manhandle me back or anything. And I thought, I beat you. I fucking beat you. Because you have, you know, if someone touches you, man, if someone's manhandling me, I'll slap them around the face. I'm not being funny. This is boxing. This is fight sport. It's about the art of skullduggery. You're doing something and they're not expecting you to do whatever you're going to do. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's all about in boxing. Mindset as well as physicality. It's about your physicality, your mentality, your personality, and psychology. And this is how you beat an opponent. So for me, I'd won. Before they got in the ring. And after that, right? They did a shoot in the gym where we were training. So I was on the speedball, and I'm brilliant on the speedball. So the cameras are coming, and I'm hitting the speedball, bum 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 bum, whacking the speedball. Their manager or promoter or whatever, they came in and they were like, we want you to write a clause. And we were like, you what? We want you to write a clause saying that if you win, we want you to have a rematch clause or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck, mate? They're worried about that guy. You could tell. Dominic Ingles was like, no way, fucking no way. And he sort of looked at me and winked. He was like, these guys, they are shitting themselves. And I knew I was going to win. The funny thing is, right, the morning of the fight, I had the weigh-in, got all my supplements back into me, got all my sustenance back in, and all my water and all that sort of stuff. And I woke up in the morning for the first time in months, that seemed like, but that was weeks. I woke up in the morning and my bed was dry. And I'd had a wet bed in the morning. I didn't piss myself. I was used to sweat.
So you reckon you finally flushed that flu out yourself?
Mate, that must have been the liquids I put back in my body. That must have been. But I saw it at the time as divine intervention. I just thought, this is it. I'm going to win. And before they pulled the curtains back on that fight, and before I walked out to that ring, I put my arms up, I prayed to God and said, thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity. I won't let you down. And I didn't. I went out and I boxed his head off and knocked him out. And that is the history of that fight. And
that's an achievement nobody can ever take away from you, mate. You know, there's not many fighters who managed to win the coveted EBU title, mate. So then, obviously, you're EBU champion at this point, and you had to go into the notoriously hard to win Germany against, was it Edwards? Is the guy who George Groves beat? How do you pronounce his surname?
Gutschneck.
Yeah. And George Groves put him in a coma, didn't he? Like years later, I think.
I don't know if he's disabled.
So what
he's not boxing.
Sorry, mate?
I don't know if he's disabled now, but I don't think he's in a good way anyway.
I heard Groves really done some damage to him, unfortunately. Yeah. I hope he manages to make some sort of recovery from that. But what tell us a little bit about that fight and going into that and what that experience was like.
Mate, they say a loss can make you fail and give up, or a loss or a win can actually go against you as well. And I think the win in France, that did me in because I believe that was too easy. 3 weeks, 3 weeks of training. I went over and I boxed his head off. I found it too easy and I boxed his head off. And I think I was a bit lackluster in training after that. I just thought that was too easy. And that went against me, you know. And I'd say to anyone who's boxing is not a sport where you wrestle.
It's not a game, mate.
No, mate.
Football's a game, basketball's a game, boxing's a sport, but it's not a game, you know what I mean?
Mate.
You don't play boxing.
That's the only sport you can get killed. That's that simple. So you know, you've how I think now and how I act in whatever I do, I put 100% in. That's about putting all your strength, your conditioning, and you do it to your top spec, and hopefully you'll do well. Aim for the stars, you might just reach the ceiling, and that's how boxing is, man. You're only as good as the result of the last fight. So you know that's just how it goes. But I lost that fight.
Mate. I like you. It's just how it goes, definitely, mate. So you were definitely you stayed in the deep end after that. I mean, your next two opponents were both future world champions, if I'm right in thinking. Was it Bellew and the guy who beat Kovalev? What's he called? I can't remember his name now. The Colombian guy who lives in Canada. Tell us about those two fights, Danny.
Well, with the Bellew fight, I think he really tried to hate me, but he just fucking couldn't, to be honest, because I am a pretty nice guy when it comes to it, you know. But yeah, you know, that went out when I mean I sort of bossed him, but he was always going to beat me. Do you know what I mean? I think he was too big. He got better. He had better training than I'd had. And he's just a fucking great science. He's got science about the sport at the same time. Do you know what I mean? He knows boxing inside fucking out, man. He knew how to play me. And he caught me with that left hook, mate. When I went down, I'd done because of my ankle. I'd done my ankle again. And I was like, oh fucking hell. I wasn't knocked out. I wasn't knocked out in that fight, but there was no way I was getting up. So that was that fight. And he's just a great representative for boxing in itself. With the Leader Alvarez fight. Again, me having fucking massive fucking bollocks, I was just like, do you know what? I hope you don't mind me swearing, by the way.
Oh, no, it's fucking sweet, mate. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, for that fight, that was just before Christmas. And I said to John Ingle, I said, John, I need a fight. He said, Danny, there's no fights in Britain whatsoever. There's no fights. And I went, John, I need a fight. I need about 10 grand for Christmas. He went, Danny, you're not getting a fight in Britain. I said, well, get me a fight from somewhere then. I said, I want a fight. Get me a fight. He sent me this. He rang me back up. He's like, Danny, there's one fighter. He said, he's a knockout artist. He's #1 for the WBC. Leader Alvarez. It's in 2 weeks. I won't get me a fucking plane ticket.
Is that all you had? 2 weeks notice for that?
2 weeks, mate. And I went 8 rounds.
And what sort of shape were you in going into it, mate?
Listen, being in the Ingles gym, you're always in shape. Always.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't go running. I didn't have any sparring. I had nothing for that fight. I still went 8 rounds, and he knocked out Kovalev in 5. So for me, I've done pretty well.
Oh, no, mate, you didn't do too bad. Like, I mean, what was it like, obviously, in Ingles gym? Because I heard he was meticulous. I heard every little, there was never any stones left unturned, and like, he was really strict about footwork and stuff like that, mate. Listen,
that's not necessarily a strict gym, but if you don't do as you're told, fucking get out, go home. That's that simple. If you turn up late, get your stuff, fuck off.
Yeah.
I used to drive up from Norwich every week, so I just drive up there and stay there all week. So for me, I had an invested interest to get the fuck in the gym. So I was first in the gym, last out, or something of that ilk. You know, I was always in the gym. I never had a day off at the gym. I think I had 1 day off at the gym in all the time I was there. 1 morning off, but I went at 10 o'clock. So I didn't really have a morning off. I just didn't do the first morning session. I still made up for it. But up in that gym, it's a battle of attrition. You literally, you're sparring and training against, and I say against because there's a battle every day. It's a competition, man. Every single day, you're training against world champions, European champions, Commonwealth champions, English champions, prospects, people who want to fucking get their titles back, people who've just lost, people who want to win again. You know, and that's like that every day with every person in that gym. Even the little kids in there want to beat the shit out of them. You have to be something special if you're going to stay up there. I know I've seen so many faces come in that gym and leave. You know, I was up there for 10 years, and that, you know, I had that, battle of attrition every single week. I'd wake up in the morning and think, right, please have an injury. Please, I should touch myself. Please have an injury. Never had one, but, you know, that gym was on the most amazing gyms on this earth. And Brendan Ingle, for me, I thought Prince Nassim was my idol until I spent some time alone with Brendan. Me and him used to go to the sauna like he did with a lot of the guys. We used to go away and he used to speak to me by myself and just talk his knowledge into me and talk his, you know, his boxing brain into me. And it's just, I was blessed. I was blessed to have that. He's the only guy I'd get tearful about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ever. It's just amazing.
Well, God rest his soul. I mean, he was a phenomenal trainer. And who would you say was the most talented fighter you came across in Brendan Ingle's gym? Because there was many. There was a lot of good fighters there.
I sparred Johnny. I sparred Johnny Nelson. There's an abundance of great fighters up in that gym, but one of the most talented kids up there, my pal Barry, Kid Galahad. I live with Barry for a long time. Him and his sister. His work ethic is second to none.
One of my mates, Tommy Ward, he's been on one of these before. I think he sparred Kid Galahad a few times, and I'd like to see him fight Kid Galahad in the future because Tommy Ward really is a talented fighter, but obviously Kid Galahad's phenomenal as well. And in his mind, he should still be unbeaten because that fight with Josh Warrington was very good and could have kind of went either way.
Man, the boy will have a world title before you know it. You watch him spar. I swear to you, mate. He's just. We went over to Fort Ventura sparring, and I was sparring heavyweights. I was sparring Kel, and I'm quite a heavy hitter, and I used to pretty much bash them all up. I ain't bothered. That boy winded me with a shot. I'm like, what you little shit. They didn't put me down or anything. He hit me. I was like, the only one he hurt with a shot. But if you're in the Ingles gym, punches to the body don't really hurt you. Yeah. But he caught me, and that was timing and accuracy, not speed and power. Boom. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you little shit. But he's such a talent. It's unreal. He's such a good talent.
What do you think about Kell Brook's chances against Terence Crawford?
He's got all the chance in the world, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Right, it's going to be a difficult fight. Terence Crawford is a different level. He's different.
I think one thing with Kell Brook is I think if he can beat the weight cut properly, then he can beat any opponent at 147. Do you know what I mean? I really do think Kell Brook's talented, but if he can beat the weight cut properly, then he potentially has the beating of anybody at that weight.
Literally, right? This guy, he likes his food. I remember being in the gym once, and I was going, so what's going on with your food at the minute? Then Kelly's like, oh, Danny, it's I love my food, don't I? I said, you know what, Kel, I love cheesecake. And he just looked at me and went, cheesecake.
Mate. Yeah, you're quite good with them impressions, like. So, anyways, on with your career, you picked up another win. And then you entered that light heavyweight Super 6 tournament in Britain, and you faced the guy who I know in Travis Dickinson. What was the story going into that fight?
I wasn't ready, mate. I hadn't trained in Sheffield. I've been training with an old amateur coach who weren't much cop, and I just didn't give a fuck anymore. That's how it was. You know, I was going back to my old ways. I was drinking and shit, and my heart weren't in it. I just didn't have my heart. And if you lose passion for something like boxing, get the fuck out.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
Don't listen. Like you said, you do not fucking play boxing, man. If you're in a sport where you haven't got any passion, love, or great work ethic in it, give up. Go and do something else. Go and get a fucking job in a fucking factory or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Because boxing's not the thing for you, mate. That is that simple.
No.
You know, and I shouldn't have gone into that fight with the attitude I had. Because I've got big bollocks when it comes to boxing, but you have to have a fucking brain about you as well. You've got to be smart, you know.
Yeah. Well, I've said this quote before, but I'll say it again. It's one what Mike Tyson came out with, and he says, "Boxing's not a tough man's sport. It's a thinking man's sport. A tough man will get really badly hurt in the sport of boxing."
Yeah, that is
That's true. But you know, Travis, you know, I think he had that problem a little bit himself, where he could have been a phenomenal fighter, but his heart wasn't always in it. Like, one thing with Travis is like I heard he's just a few coaches who've coached a lot of good fighters say he was just the hardest puncher that they've ever took on the pads, and this is like world class coaches who've coached loads of world class amateurs and stuff.
That guy can punch. That guy can punch, mate. He's the only person who stopped me like that ever.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, mate? Like, everybody that comes out of Berkeley from that sort of era who I ever asked, or who was boxing in the Northeast at that time, when I asked them, they say that you ask people who was the hardest puncher you've ever fought, and loads of people around here, I'll say Travis Dickinson, they say you don't understand. The way he hit you was just was something else. I mean, I've done a little bit of sparring with his brother before, but I've never ever done anything with Travis. But a lot of people say, like, back in his peak, he really used to whack. I mean, I heard he knocked George Groves out in the amateurs and everything. Really good fighter, mate.
Yeah, I had that. He was a proper hard puncher.
Yeah.
Brilliant that I had him in the first round. There we go. There we go. That's a pity I had him in the first round of that competition, but there we go.
Well, that was a little bit unlucky, like, but Danny, anyways, I really appreciate your time, and we'll do it again sometime. But
no problem,
thanks for giving us your time up. And I really enjoyed that, mate. And you had an amazing story there. Watch what you're doing, Danny. All the best, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. See you soon.
Cheers.